This video is on the objective calculate a point estimate given a confidence interval. And this is the second question from your Newton-Alta homework that I'm doing regarding this objective. Alright, so here it is. Again, if you're unfamiliar with the material, want to see what they have to say about it, click on more instruction and look over their material, what they're talking about, how they're teaching you how to do these things. So again, this is pretty similar to the first video I did on a question from this objective. See, a random sample of students were asked whether they were left or right-handed. The resulting confidence interval for the proportion of students who are left-handed is 0.09 to 0.15. So again, this is a confidence interval. It estimates the population proportion, P, of students who were left-handed. So what you're saying here is that what they're telling us is that they're reasonably confident, whatever. Now again, there should be like some sort of confidence level associated with the confidence interval. Usually there's some sort of percentage confidence. So I'm 95% confident, 99% confident, whatever. But they're saying here that they're reasonably confident that the proportion of all students, right, the population that are left-handed, is between 9 and 15%. Right. Now what they're asking us for here is, well, what percentage of this sample of students was left-handed, if this is our confidence interval? So again, in order to figure out the point estimate, or the sample proportion or the sample mean, if it's about a mean x bar, you just have to remember how a confidence interval is formed. So I'll refresh your memory as to how that is done. So again, how a confidence interval estimate is formed. And you can write it as parentheses, with a comma in between, or as an inequality. But you have some lower bound, which was given as 0.09 in this example, this question, and then you have some upper bound on your interval. All right, now the lower bound is the point estimate. Right, the point estimate is a singular number from our sample, and for this case, since we're talking about proportions, that's p hat, right, the sample proportion. If we were talking about means, that would be the sample mean, x bar, and then minus the margin of error, right? Remember, ME was the margin of error. And then for the upper bound of a confidence interval, it's your point estimate. Again, for this particular question, that is our sample proportion, and then plus the margin of error. So what this is telling us here is that the point estimate, whether it be for means x bar, or for these sample proportions p hat, the point estimate is just the average of these lower bounds and upper bounds. It's exactly in the middle. It's exactly in the middle of the interval, right? Halfway between the lower bound and upper bound. So in our example here, right, the confidence interval was, lower bound was 0.09, the upper bound was 0.15. And we just need to figure out, the point estimate, what was the sample proportion that brought about this confidence interval. That would be the value exactly halfway in between, right? So the p hat would be 0.09 plus 0.15 divided by 2. Right? That's how you find a number exactly halfway between two numbers. 0.09 plus 0.15 would be 0.24 divided by 2, and then so the sample proportion, right, for that sample of students, the proportion of that sample that was left-handed would be 12%, right, 0.12. Right, that's exactly halfway in between 0.09 and 0.15. And again, you could use this number to also state what this margin of error would be. you know, what's the distance between the middle and the top and the middle and the bottom? It's 0.03, right? 0.12 plus 0.03, 0.12 minus 0.03. So you could also say that the margin of error was, you know, 0.03 or 3%. And another way I could, you know, interpret this confidence interval is by saying, based on my sample, I'm reasonably confident that the proportion of all students that are left-handed, right, the population, the proportion that's left-handed is 12%, you know, give or take 3%, right? That's what the margin of error is. It's a give or take. But we weren't asked for the margin of error. We were just asked for this middle, right? The point estimate, what's in the middle of the confidence interval. So 0.12. And that's what I'm entering, submitting, and you know, it's correct. Hooray. And again, read through the answer explanations, especially if you're wrong. If you come up incorrect, you know, read through what they did. And of course, if you have any questions, let me know. Or if you see some errors, you can always send feedback to Newton. Say, hey, I'm seeing an error here. Maybe they'll fix it. And yeah. So that's another question on this objective. Hopefully pretty simple. And thanks for watching.